This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Who thought an A's series in the middle of June would be this eventful? Friday night fireworks. The Yankees do those now, but not really fireworks at the plate. They won 3-0 and they squandered like 4 opportunities to add to their ledger. Saturday's game. It feels like all the games that are candidates for most boring game of the year started by Clarke Schmidt. Not his fault, but man, the offense just did not show up. Meaning we had a must-win Sunday. Luis Severino against Marcus Stroman in his first start since April, and they need to win this. You cannot lose a home series to the A's. You can't. Really sorry, you can't do that. Even if you're in the throes of midseason dementia, you cannot do that. And the Yankees bucked their June swoon, but had no idea how to throw a party. This team has no idea how to throw a party. Do not trust them on a holiday. Do not trust them on the most beautiful day of the summer to just let you live your life. 10-1 in the top of the 6th. Cody Bellinger hits a 3-run home run and fist bumps a fan who seems to be good luck. How long can the good vibes last? 8 seconds. It's 10-4 like this, and the bases are still loaded with JT Brubaker on the mound. We have an early contender, not early anymore because we're past the halfway point of the season, and we're into the summer. Somehow the most frustrating inning of the year in a game that they won 12-5. Plus, Luis Severino just keeps yapping and running his mouth. He's going to get traded, but probably not to here. Right? Another rumored trade target emerges for the Yankees. Questions behind the plate as a new catcher gets 2 starts in a weekend and a big 4-game Toronto Blue Jays series. The Yankees with a little bit of breathing room, but not much. Thomas Carannante, we got much to address. I suspect we're going the full hour today. Again, shocking given that this was an A's series, like a breather before just a crazy stretch of over 500 opponents for the whole month of July. But if you know the Yankees, you know that one of these series against a really good baseball team is going to be shockingly smooth. And you're going to be like, oh my God, wait, are they back? And the first time they face an under 500 team that's like underwater, barely breathing, they're going to play right to that team's level of competition. The A's wanted to go home yesterday, down 10-1. They didn't want to win a baseball game. Wins do not matter to them right now. Get on the plane. And yet it was 10-4, 1 out, bases loaded in the top of the 6th. And like they had a real shot at making this interesting. Luke Weaver pitched in this game, probably by request. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show.
Yeah, classic Yankee series. You have Friday night where they kind of got lucky. Like Mitch Spence was not pitching well. The Yankees let him off the hook. He had that dumb error where he tried to barehand a fucking rocket ground ball. And they, what was that? 3-0 or whatever.
3-0. And it was 3-0 like the whole way. It was like 3-0 from the 4th to the end. Good pitching, solid game. Sometimes games like that happen, but you're right. 100% lucky.
Yeah. And then, you get blanked on Saturday by JP Sears, Clarke Schmidt, valiant effort. Honestly, wheels came off in the 6th. Only a matter of time. What did he go? 29 innings, scoreless straight innings or something like 29 in the 3rd?
I'm not going to throw venom at Clarke Schmidt there.
No, he got no offensive support, and he was due to have some sort of hiccup. And like in any real situation where you're playing a bad team and your offense is actually performing, like what did it end up being for him? 4 earned in 6. Like that's a fine start. So can't really complain with that. Then Sunday you have, I mean, look, moral victory for the Yankees. 2nd start for Luis Severino this year against the Yankees, his first at Yankee Stadium since leaving in 2023. They rocked him again. They get the win from that. But yeah, I don't like that. Again, Aaron Judge, bad at bats early in the game, comes alive when it's 5-0 and 7-0 and gets those hits. Jazz continues to be the guy that is driving this offense forward wherever it needs to be. So that's at least a positive. But yeah, I mean, they're still trying to get their feet under them after everything that's happened. And I don't know how you can be impressed by taking these 2 out of 3 from the A's, but look, it's wins. We're not going to complain. We're going to dissect whatever potential issues that are arising for when we're playing, again, division rival this week. What have we done against the AL East this year? Lose. And the Blue Jays have managed to get back into the playoff picture or discussion. So like, this is a big series for everybody. And the Yankees have a lot of things going on right now that are not in their favor and they need to fix. And That's what we're here for. But yeah, I mean, I watched all Friday's game. I watched half of both of the other two. I didn't really need to learn a whole lot. Like nothing else. This team has not taught me anything in weeks. I'm again just waiting to get through all of whatever's happening right now, because if you watch these full 9 innings, you're just setting yourself up for torture. Like you're trying to enjoy a 10-1 or a 10-0 advantage yesterday, and you just can't. It's not fun, and you want to jump off a cliff. So here we are. We'll talk about it. We'll endure all the pain for you, though, guys.
Yeah, JT Brubaker. I mean, you want to eat your hand twice in this game. If you're me, Brubaker just not throwing strikes with a 10-1 lead. They finally get out of that inning, and they're just nursing 10-4, and then Jazz pulls up on the check swing in the very next half inning, and you're like, well, he definitely tore his wrist sheath or popped his hamate bone or whatever. Somehow he doesn't leave that game. He is the most essential Yankee right now. You cannot lose him, and he is injury prone, and we all know this. And there will come a time, hopefully, when the lineup is reinforced enough that, sure, if you have to lose him for 3 weeks again, you'll do it. And they weathered it last time, and they'll weather it again, I guess. But right now, the way this offense is operating, it's Jazz, Bellinger, and you can't give Judge time off, obviously, even when he's performing at this lowered capacity. And Ben Rice, who I don't think you can afford to lose either. But Jazz is sort of the engine. And given the fact that you need to add to Jazz at the trade deadline, not replace him and also reinforce the rest of the infield, it goes without saying that when he pulled up on that check swing and it felt not just like an impactful injury, but season ending, I was going to lose my mind. And I think most of us were. Crazy that all came in a game where we were riding so high. There are some positives, of course, when you win a series, you're going to feel good at the end of it. And Schmidt gets his flowers, and Devin Williams too, and so does Stroman. But the Jazz injury is going to remain mysterious, and he came back out on the field and he smiled. But I mean, would it stun you if he's not in the lineup tonight, like in Toronto behind Carlos Rodon? Not at all.
No, I probably would keep him out. I don't know.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would too if I had to.
Yeah, it was crazy that he came back into a game where they were up 6 runs yesterday. So that I had some reservations about that. And you look at what happened to him earlier in the year. Did they even determine what the injury might have been? I feel like I didn't see much after it had happened. Like,
yesterday?
Was it elbow? Yeah, was it elbow? Was it side?
He said something that sounds not real, where he said it was the pinky hitting his other fingers and impacting it, and then his pinky was sore for an inning. So I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on that, but that's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, you have the oblique. To me, I thought that was an elbow issue, especially after he dealt with that sore elbow last year in that series against the White Sox where we thought he was going to miss the season with Tommy John.
Yeah.
So that's why it was scary. But again, I know at the same time you don't want to take out your hottest offensive piece when facing a division rival, but if there's any day to rest him in a stretch of 7 games in 7 days, it's probably today. See how he feels tomorrow. That's where you're going to get the most results, or else you run the risk of playing him tonight. He's still feeling the after effects of yesterday, and then you got to bench him for Tuesday, either after a loss or worse, after a win where you have some momentum, and then it puts him in jeopardy of maybe missing multiple games. So you don't want to do that. So I'd be resting him tonight and see where it goes from there. But yeah, it's a crappy situation, and the Yankees can't seem to kind of just be able to ride free without some concern along the way.
He was brilliant defensively yesterday at third.
Yeah, so good.
Saved multiple runs in the nightmare Brubaker inning. It could have been the first out of the inning, and the only out Brubaker recorded could have been a 2-run double down the line, and was instead a ground out that scored 1. So I still think he's more of a second baseman than a third baseman. I think the Yankees should be acquiring a third baseman at the trade deadline, and we will get to that in a bit. But I already do see the comments chattering about Nolan Arenado. Is he a realistic option? The Cardinals are in a playoff spot right now. Nolan Arenado is making a lot of money. And if he was on the team, you guys would hate him. He's hitting 249 with a 97 OPS plus. He was a bad park fit for Yankee Stadium before the season started. He's stinking in St. Louis on a playoff team. He's now like a veteran leader in that locker room. And that's a valuable position, but he's not performing on the field. You'd be so mad if the Yankees used their money on Nolan Arenado and their trade chips right now. in the same way he's playing like Josh Donaldson. Like you would be so mad if you had Nolan Arenado. So we'll shut that down for now. There are not exactly appealing third base options on the market. And the one the Yankees are getting tied to, possibly even less appealing than Arenado. But either way, that's for later in the show. First, we'll give credit where credit's due. Marcus Stroman, everybody can laugh, and a lot of people will at the fact that he's in the rotation right now after all of the back and forth of what the Yankees have gone through. I'll be in the minority here. If yesterday is the best we see from Marcus Stroman, if we only get that one win, if we get 5 strong innings and a solo home run allowed, then I'm okay, right? My expectation for this year was absolute nil, and he would suck my life force out every time he appeared on the mound, especially after the Giants game in April, especially after the lengthy injury rehab and the back and forth in spring training. He's now given you a win. Like, obviously, those are low expectations. But also, he's not a cornerstone. He's a fill-in. He's not a key cog. He's a replacement. He's someone they won't lean on if they have Luis Gil and Ryan Yarbrough healthy, plus maybe an innings eater they acquire at the trade deadline, which I don't know what caliber of pitchers will be available, but I know they'll be looking for starters and relievers and swingmen. And I know JT Brubaker now ain't shit. After yesterday, I can't rely on him. So if Stroman stays on the Yankees roster all year, he probably won't be in the rotation because they're going to look to replace any other holes that pop up with higher end deadline options. So if that's all I get, if I get like mop up duty plus yesterday, I'm okay with that. That was legitimately very impressive. I thought if they were going to win yesterday's game, they were going to have to do it 9-7. And it turned out that without one of the worst mop up relief appearances you've ever seen from Brubaker, with no command and no control, given unlimited, red carpet runway, then they would have won that game going away with a guy who I expected to maybe be out in the second or third inning last night. So great job by Stroman in a game where they really needed him. And I don't know how much more they get, but they got that. Great job by Clarke Schmidt. Like we said, not going to hold him responsible for Saturday's loss.
No.
He's had to be pitch perfect for weeks now. If he lost the game against the Angels where they never scored a run, he lost. They lost. He threw 7 2/3 scoreless. He struggled to recover between starts. They bumped him back one day, and he got into the 6th with 1 run allowed on a solo home run. Then the wheels fell off the Yankees bus as it goes round and round. But he's got to be pitch perfect every time out. They don't hit anymore ever for anyone, but especially not him. So no fault there. And obviously a 4-run deficit is the end of the road for these current Yankees. They're 0 for the season when they face a deficit larger than 3 runs. They've only faced one 19 times, but still, if that's the offense that you're working with, league best in so many regards and so many better than average statistics. And then when you actually need offense, where is it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, it's what we've talked about all year. It's the boom and bust. Like in the beginning of the year, it was the Brewer series that kept them far and above the rest of the league because they had the 3-game stretch. And then it was Aaron Judge's batting .400 for 2.5 months that got them to where they needed to be. And now you're having, like Paul Goldschmidt admitted he's not playing that well right now. Cody Bellinger has been a little bit on and off. Stanton still needs to kind of, we know what's going to happen with Stanton. He's going to take a month to finally heat up and get to where he needs to be. So that's not anything that's out of the ordinary. You got a lot of young guys on this team. Ben Rice started hot, came down a little bit, also getting unlucky. We'll talk about Austin Wells in a second, but what he's doing is completely just unacceptable. Anthony Volpe, his lows are so low and his hot streaks are just like, yeah, cool. Good. That's good enough. That'll do. Trent Grisham fell off because, anybody watching this team, as awesome as it was to see Trent Grisham to succeed the way that he did in the beginning of the year, you just knew that wasn't sustainable. So you had to brace for the crater coming. And a lot of these came at the same time, like Dominguez. Again, I think Dominguez is talented. I think he's good. It's just, again, he's a spurts guy. It's going to come in a couple game jumps. And then again, he's somebody who has to be on the bench because of all of the lineup maneuvering that Aaron Boone has to do. So inadvertently, sometimes his hot streaks are cut off at the legs because of lineup decisions. So a lot of this, there's a lot going on. Jazz was not good in the beginning of the year. He was batting 184 before he went down with an injury. Now he's the hottest hitter on the team. So once again, for the last 5 years, it's about the Yankees putting the offense together at the same time without it being, oh, let's beat a team by 15 runs, or, oh, let's crush somebody who doesn't matter and buoy our runners with scoring position stats because we ended up facing a mishmash of shitty relievers. Like, I understand that it is still hard to be a top baseball, or at least in the top 30 of baseball in offensive statistics. And again, Yankees are not a disappointing team by any means. They're a good team. We're looking ahead, championship aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
Championship teams do not have this much struggle. And no one's asking to hit 350 with runners in scoring position, but every series it can't be 4 for 25 or what we had in the series prior where they just kept giving up opportunities. That they had 22 opportunities with runners in scoring position and only got 4 hits in one of the games last week. So it's like, that can't happen. That's not what's going to bring them to where they need to be. So it's the cohesiveness that's the problem. And it's when you need that hit, and it's when you need somebody to come through. And we're just not seeing that as consistently, or at least from a diverse group of players at different times. Like, it was Judge for the first 2 months. It's now been Jazz for the last 3 weeks. You had a bunch of cohesion in the beginning of the season, but now when things have leveled off, you're having guys kind of, slink back into their camps and not be able to do what they're expected to do. So I don't know what it is. Again, middle of the season, summer, it's getting hot. I know that's unfortunately a factor in this day and age with the game. I don't know why it's been part of this game forever. So I don't really understand it to some degree, but it is what it is. And I don't know how long it's going to take, or I don't know. And again, like bunts, like they just don't do the fundamental things. So I think when the fundamental things don't come naturally, you're in a position where it's hard for you to come through consistently in situations that you need to.
The bunts are crazy.
Insane.
A lot of things about this team are always going to be frustrating. And like, like we said, even in wins, they struggle to throw a party. Yesterday should have been a party. Should be riding into this Jays series as excited as you've been all year. And instead you feel like you barely survived in a game you won by 7 runs because of the middle of that game. We'll address the comments as they come, and we thank everybody for watching. Seen some old friends here today, so appreciate it. But Steve, unless DJ starts hitting soon, they will DFA him. No, they will not. As Fernando noted, Aaron Judge fought for LeMahieu last year when he was about to get DFA'd. They are not going to do that, especially as he gets closer to the end of his actual contract. He's starting. So they're going to replace him as a starter, I presume. They're going to try. But no, they will not be DFAing him. He will be on this roster. He will be on this bench. And look, I'm going to give credit to Devin Williams too before we move on to the fun drama, because we got to talk Sevy, we got to talk trade rumors. That's the more fun stuff. But Devin Williams was awesome on Friday, and he's gotten a little bit of flack lately. He's been awesome for a month and a half. He's gotten a little bit of flack for a comment where he said he's best utilized as a 1-inning guy. Again, Thomas and I went over that on the last show. If that's how he's best utilized and most comfortable, then you should utilize him that way, because it's better that he feels comfortable than he sucks, which he did in April. He sucked. So in that vein, he noted over the weekend as well that he has been calling his own pitches since he caught fire. Seems like he disagreed with the Yankees' initial pitch usage plan. But you know what's more important than a disagreement that never actually came to light and went public? The fact that he was right, because whatever he's doing is working. So if you've got it in your heart where you're just working up a lather, angry at Devin Williams for butting heads with Matt Blake or something, or envisioning a straw man, we don't even know that happened. We just know that you wish that your players were not particular and finicky and need certain creature comforts to play at their best. But Devin Williams needs to be comfortable in his own skin. Yep. He needs to be in charge. He needs a well-trimmed beard. I don't know if his future on the Yankees lasts beyond this year, but you know what? I'm going to need him to keep performing like this, because he's been really fucking helpful as a lockdown closer for now a month and a half. Luke Weaver injured. The Yankees didn't miss a beat. Yeah, they started struggling, but it was not their back-end relievers' fault. So the longer this goes, the better, and whatever it takes to get him there and maintain it, keep doing it. I cannot bring myself to be angry at Devin Williams figuring out the solution. If you were mad at him out there in the Yankees universe for struggling and for looking defeated that you can't be mad at him for taking ownership and figuring it out.
Absolutely not. And what I think is the craziest is that I don't know why the Yankees would, I guess, be calling pitches for, and I don't know the process, obviously, but having Devin Williams and Luke Weaver's pitches scripted doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. It seems like the best pitchers at their, in their respective roles should probably be calling their own games unless they defer to the team to do that. And the team should be inclined to give the pitches out for players who are developing or are trying to come into their own or have struggled with pitch selection. Someone who is the best statistical closer since 2020 should not be taking directive from the dugout unless something's gone horribly wrong. So that's my take on it. Secondly, we did talk about Devin Williams being only comfortable in one inning situations, and I didn't really object to that, but I did listen to other people talk on it, and John Boy made a good point where he was saying, well, is it really 2 innings if your one inning was 9 pitches and you're going out for another one? When you had, I think Williams has had something crazy. It was 9 outings of 20 or more pitches and 5 of 25 or more. So when you look at it from a pitch perspective, you can say, oh, yeah, obviously this can translate into 2 innings or even 3 innings if you're talking about being super efficient. But I think, and I don't disagree with that necessarily, I just also think there's a psychological aspect to split inning duty. And we've seen it with so many Yankees pitchers over the years where it's incomprehensible to that player in that point, or it's just something cosmic where they can't handle it. If I saw Aroldis Chapman in one more split inning duty with the Yankees, I don't know what I was going to do. It was going to be bad. It was bad stuff. Run through a wall, try to do some jackass stunt off my roof. It was just getting every time it was agonizing. And like I said last episode, really the only multi-innings erasers that we've seen on this Yankees team be actually successful consistently have been Michael King, who's no longer here and has transitioned to a starting role since, moved from a starter to an effective multi-inning reliever, now back to a starter, and Luke Weaver. Jonathan Loaisiga did it for 1 year. I know a lot of people like Jonathan Loaisiga. He's never been able to do it since 2021, and he was never able to do it before that. So you look at what is for elite relievers, or better put, relievers with elite stuff. I don't know what it is, but split inning duty or multi-inning duty for them typically is not there for the taking, whether it's a mental block, whether it's the rest in between inning. I literally don't know what it is, but you do look at a 9-pitch inning from someone like Williams, and it's I think here the point is if Devin Williams throws 9 pitches in a late season game against a rival or down the stretch or in the postseason, he's coming out for the next inning if the Yankees need relief help. But at the same time, I do understand the perspective where it's all right, but can we test that out earlier to see if he's capable of doing that later on? Because I don't want to bring him in a September game against the Red Sox where we need 5 outs and then have him shit his pants and it's a catastrophic loss. Don't want to have to, obviously you don't want to wait until the postseason to do that, because that's now introducing a completely unknown element when the games and the pitches matter the most. But nonetheless, if Devin Williams and the Yankees are figuring out how this relationship can work for the remainder of the way, that's all I care about. I don't care what he does in April and May. Was it a pain in the ass that he was literally the worst closer in the league after being the best closer in the league? Yeah, it was incomprehensible, and it made you want to punch a hole through the wall. But April and May don't matter unless you're piling up losses to an insurmountable degree, and the Yankees didn't do that. They had the luxury to move him out of the closer role. They had the luxury to take the spotlight off of him, and now apparently they've had the luxury in the interim to have him figure out to get even more comfortable. So if he's calling his own pitches now, and that's resulted in a best stretch of the season, that's where it should be, and that's how it should remain. And honestly, I think this should be the same for any high-profile reliever who has proven himself either with the Yankees or outside the organization. You're calling your own pitches. Stop having this go through the dugout.
especially now that it's all on the pitch com and it's all
there.
There's nothing to be gained for, you're as secretive as it gets. So do your thing. The comments from Fernando calling Loaizaga fragile. He sure is. He's not someone you can really rely on. And think about how much better you'd feel about the Yankees if Aaron Boone had not asked a visibly ill Jonathan Loaizaga to protect a 3-0 lead in Cincinnati last week. He came in, he gave it up in 5 minutes, and then he left the mound with a trainer tapping his chest, and then he stayed away from the team for like 4 days. Brilliant. Like, somebody didn't tell Boone that he was sick, or Loaizaga didn't tell Boone that he was sick, or just dynamite stuff.
Could be anything.
There's pretty much no way to get to the end of that game with the performances that they had in the 8th and 9th, blowing that 3-0 lead, unless you introduce a variable like, oh wait, our 7th inning guy is visibly ill, and they did it. They should be one game better than they are, and hopefully that does not come back to bite them at the end of the year. Steve, I don't believe Judge will once again be able to influence a DJ DFA. They have 2 dead spots in the order and on the bench.
Yeah,
I hate to keep harping on it, but DJ LeMahieu might be frustrating you at this point, but I do feel like a lot of the anger is residual from last year, and also the fact that he is currently starting that's bothering you, because Peraza is a black hole, absolute dead spot, and he will get DFA'd after the deadline, 100%.
Yeah.
But DJ LeMahieu, the power output's not there. The OPS plus is not there. He's been worth positive WAR in like a month, 0.6. He shouldn't be a starter. He should be a bench player, utility man, defensive replacement, but you're not going to DFA a positive WAR guy who you owe that much money to. It's not even going to take Judge stepping in. The front office isn't even entertaining it right now.
Yeah, I don't think. And look, like, has DJ been great? No, but he also, like, maybe I'm cast under the spell of the Yankees, but he really hasn't been detrimental. Like,
I haven't felt that way. It's weird that I see so many people still raging about him, and he's very obviously not been great, but it feels like residual hatred from the last couple of years. Yeah,
and I could understand that because, again, he has not appeared in a playoff game since 2020. It's like it's the craziest statistics or like bizarre, like, I don't know, droughts that you've ever seen from a player who like just signed a contract extension that year. But like, again, it's not as bad as it was, and it seems to be carried over from how, look, he was bad last year and he was unhelpful the year before, and that was frustrating. But now, like, I think he should be a bench guy. He's versatile. You don't know what's going to happen throughout the year. I understand he's not the most athletic, and his contact abilities are not where they used to be, but I'd rather have him on the bench than Oswald Peraza, and I understand that maybe that's not the argument you're looking for. You're looking for the Yankees to be way better. And, yeah, I would argue they should have been way better in the offseason, but we're not there yet because they don't do that. So, and they're definitely not going to make all these wrongs are right at the trade deadline because they don't have that much flexibility. They don't have enough prospect capital. They don't have enough payroll to work with. So it's going to be one infield upgrade at the expense of Oswald Peraza. And it's going to be 1 or 2 pitching upgrades, maybe one significant one, maybe one to keep the line moving in the bullpen, and that's it. So, like, I don't know. I'm not like trying to be pessimistic here, but it's kind of just like the reality and what what the Yankees are telegraphing, at least in my opinion. Like, every year we sit here and we're like, oh, these blockbuster trade candidates are available. And it's like, when was the last time you saw the Yankees make a blockbuster trade deadline acquisition? They don't do that. They haven't done it in a really long time. And if you want to count Jazz as one, like, great, but the Marlins wanted to get rid of him. The Yankees made sure to pay the least amount as they could possible in that deal. So, like, unless there's top prospects trading hands and an impact player going, like, the Yankees acquired Jazz Chisholm as, quote, an impact addition, and then they started him at a position he's never played before. So you kind of can't even consider that a blockbuster acquisition, even if like Jazz was a top player, because they took his strength away. They took second base away from him, and he should be in the All-Star votes for second base, and he's not going to because he doesn't play the position anymore. And as for the rest of the roster, it's like, look, JC Escarra, I think, has been fine and like suitable for what he is. And like, I don't think, like, again, if you're talking Yankees pedigree, like, yeah, in theory, JC Escarra, DJ LeMahieu, Oswald Peraza, like, shouldn't be here. And that's not the reality we're living in. So I'm not supporting what the Yankees are doing. I'm just more so relaying what they are going to do because we've seen it so many times. And if you're that mad about DJ being the last guy on the bench, then like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Compare him to any other last guys on the bench. If you really want to do that, like analysis, I don't think it's far off. I really don't. Like if he's 0.6 WAR, if he ends up at 0.9 WAR by the end of the year, like it's fine. Play second, third, and first base if you need him to. And I really think at the bottom of the lineup, if he is doing okay, it's additive.
The comments are so mad today, and I'm not gonna get triggered, I promise, anymore. We got
freak out on Fernando, dude.
We got fun stuff to talk about, but Fernando saying my current least favorite Yankees truth twist. The Yankees have successfully wasted Judge's prime. I would have said you're right before last year, but then they got him Juan Soto, and then they went to the World Series, and you know who wasted Aaron Judge's chance to win a World Series? Aaron Judge. He was terrible. So I'm kind of done with that until we learn a little bit more. Like I feel like they wasted a few years. Garrett Cole move was great. Should have gone further. Obviously, could have supplemented. 2019 could have been the year. 2020 could have been the year. That got stolen from them.
Yeah,
right. That was a 60-game season, and no one knows optimization. No one knows how that turns out if they play a full 162. If they play in Yankee Stadium in playoff games, like that was just. I mean, I can't take much away from that at all.
No.
And then last year they finally figured it out. And
2021 they tried. Don't forget it. Like they tried. Do I think Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo were like excellent acquisitions that Brian Cashman should get a pat on the back for? No, but they were big ones and they shouldn't have been as bad as they were. And I guess, look, we've criticized them before for the fits, and I think that that's valid. But also, like, again, not everybody in the world is available at the trade deadline. You can't just get whoever you want at the trade deadline, which I think is what a lot of people figure. And at some point, yeah, you can name your price, and every other team's got a price that they'll pay for certain players, but the Yankees never have that. The Yankees never have that at their disposal. So it's just not. It's not a reality.
You know, it was Judge's first World Series. He was nervous, so now that's an excuse we make for him and for nobody else. We don't make that excuse for anybody else. Just checking. Also, was it his first ALDS and ALCS? I don't think so. He was terrible in those two. Again, you know, at some point, if Aaron Judge is an all-time legend, which he absolutely is, he's a Hall of Famer. He's technically 10 years into his career because of 2016 when he got called up in 2020, which was a 60-gamer. But he's a Hall of Famer right now. He's like a median WAR Hall of Famer at this moment in time. Fastest to 300 home runs. He's about to pass 350. He got to 300 last summer. He's unbelievable. He's on a different level. But we hold like the best NBA players of all time to this ridiculous ring-chasing standard. If Aaron Judge wants to put himself in that real inner circle of megastars, then baseball's not basketball, but go win a ring, or at least don't be as bad as you were last year and as bad as you've been in all postseasons.
Yeah. Like if Judge had a Stanton postseason last year and they lost because of everybody else, then I'd say, yeah, they fucking wasted it. But no, they actually had an otherworld. They had the two perfect players propping up Judge throughout the entire postseason run, with Stanton literally reinventing his Yankees legacy and Juan Soto being the only consistent, reliable bat in that lineup from the start of the playoffs till the end of the playoffs. And they had other things contribute to the unraveling. But if Aaron Judge is 64% of himself in the World Series, they win the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a hot take, regular take.
Got to hit 250 with power. Like we can't be talking about 160 with 18 strikeouts. And if Aaron Judge retired tomorrow, hope he doesn't. That would suck. That would make no sense. But if he retired tomorrow, I would say he's in the Hall of Fame. He's the best pure regular season hitter I've ever seen. But his legacy right now, there were times when you can say, oh, they should have gotten a bat after getting Cole in 2019. Oh, they should have, Frankie Montas was a bum. Why did they waste their trade deadline bullets on him? Certainly. But at this point, he had an opportunity last year to correct his own legacy. He didn't do it. Now he's going to have more opportunities moving forward. Got to do it.
And we love him.
Yeah, we love him. He's the best pure hitter I've ever seen on the New York Yankees. He's a top 3 pure hitter I've ever seen in Major League Baseball. But if he wants that final piece, it falls on his shoulders now.
Yes.
And so moving on to the fun stuff. The rumor mill.
That's just crazy that we're even talking about this too, because like everybody who, just last words on this, everybody who channels the Yankees of yesteryear, like Derek Jeter's the prime example.
Yeah.
Oh, Derek Jeter, all he did was win. All he did was take the game into his own hands. He got all the clutch hits. And it's like, so what is it now? it's either you're that player or the team fucked you over and it's not fair. Can't do both.
It's also, people who didn't watch Derek Jeter will always examine his statistics and talk about, the defense is overrated.
The
and
D-War, what's that about?
Yeah, so if you're going to pick apart a guy who we know is a proven winner, we got to be allowed to pick apart a guy who's got all the metrics and objectively is one of the greatest to ever do it. You'd rather have Aaron Judge than Derek Jeter, according to the papers. But if you watch both, then you know that, right? There's a difference between the two men, and the difference is pretty obvious. And I love both. But, one game elevated, one game shrank. And I just can't imagine having this conversation about Jeter in the 90s. We would have been talking about how they wasted his prime by getting Scott Brocious. Like, we would have been talking about all the underwhelming offseason moves they made. They never really made, the Knobloch trade. He doesn't know how to throw. They're wasting Jeter's prime. But Jeter stepped up and Jeter, made it happen. And so did all of those people when we got to the postseason. All right. Let's toss this. We got 3 rumors to discuss.
Let's get this one.
One created by an ex-Yankee, one an ex-Yankee son, and then one interesting lineup wrinkle from the weekend. If we're raging about people who are not living up to expectations, Austin Wells is not living up to expectations. The Yankees they claimed when Giancarlo Stanton came back that Ben Rice would catch a little bit. Okay, great. Yeah. Added flexibility. We love it. Ben Rice catches on Friday night, starts on Friday night. JC Escarra on the paternity list, got back yesterday. Saturday, back to Wells, back to no runs for the offense. And then Sunday, they need someone to shepherd Marcus Stroman through what's obviously going to be a difficult start. Okay, who's the guy we can rely on the most? It's theoretically Escarra, right?
Yeah.
But then who catches that Sunday game when Stroman's on the mound for an all-important outing? It is Ben Rice again.
Yeah, it is.
So Austin Wells now has slipped to below average in most respects. He's being propped up statistically by his at-bats against lefties, not against righties. And when the Yankees needed a defense-first arm with Escarra coming back from paternity, they went with a guy who was a first baseman catcher in the minors and had only played first for them until recent roster shuffles. Are they telegraphing that they'd be willing to swap Escarra in a trade and go with Wells as the backup if need be? Mike Axisa theorized that over the weekend and talked about, Austin Nola getting traded for Andres Munoz back in the day. That feels like a black swan event. I don't know if you can replicate that, but if the Yankees get a deal they can't resist for Escarra, they probably shouldn't be opposed to it.
Sure.
What does this mean for Wells? He's no longer the guy that they go to when they have a difficult situation behind the dish, and his offense isn't matching his defensive deficiencies.
I think so. Austin Wells is a massive problem right now, and I don't think there's any reason to get on him about it. But if we're all gonna yell when Anthony Volpe's doing what Anthony Volpe's doing, Austin Wells can't be immune to that. It's not fair. It's not equal treatment. I understand Volpe was a higher pedigree prospect, and the way the Yankees handled him, questionable. Potentially frustrating, but that's not Anthony Volpe's fault. That's the organization's fault. Austin Wells, if he's benched twice this weekend, do I view that as a potential turning of the tides? Not necessarily. I think Austin Wells still has the makeup of a very good baseball player. Just 3 weeks ago, we were talking about him being in rarefied air in Yankees catching history. Should he accrue the statistics that he was on pace for in terms of home runs and RBIs. Obviously, those are still within reach if he's able to get hot again, but you're looking at a really bad stretch from him right now. Last 14 days, he's batting 152 with a 376 OPS. Even last 28 days, 219 batting average, 250 on base percentage. You can't do that, man. The biggest issue with Austin, the two biggest issues is one, the defense has not been good this year. Subtracted negative 0.4 D-WAR from the team. And the other advanced metrics have suggested he has not been as efficient. And that has literally subtracted all of his goodwill on the offensive side, which, again, streaky. You noticing a theme here? Every Yankees offensive player, for the most part, over the last 5 years, streaks, 2-week hot stretch, 3 weeks, you forget how to play baseball. But the bigger concern here, which I am still trying to understand, is that Austin Wells has become a reverse split player. He can't hit righties this year after mashing them last year.
Yeah.
And he's hitting lefties this year after he couldn't hit them last year. So I don't know what it is this year against right-handers, obviously, which is most of the time he's on the field because you're trying to take advantage of those matchups. 188 with a 254 OBP and a 617 OPS. In 43 games against lefties, 263 average, 315 on base. Still not great, but you know, it's at least tolerable that it's over 300 and an 852 OPS. And if you look even closer, he has 5 home runs in 89 plate appearances against lefties and 24 RBIs, and he has 6 homers and 21 RBIs in 169 plate appearances against righties. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if the Yankees are pushing the panic button or they're just being smart like they were a la Devin Williams earlier in the year when they saw the problem. They said, you know what, let's get ahead of it now. I would say that they probably should have gotten ahead of the Wells issue maybe a week ago because this was as obvious as can be for the last 3.5 weeks. But I mean, at least maybe they're doing it now and they could see what they have in Ben Rice behind the plate. Because again, the defense behind there is now a problem. You have Escara, who was never a catcher at the professional level, now catching. You have Ben Rice, who has mostly been a DH at the big league level and a first baseman, is now catching. And you have Austin Wells, who is your starting catcher, who is not performing well defensively. And then you look at all these guys they traded away. They traded Rortvedt away last year. Are we yelling about that? No, but he also dominated for the first half of the year. And it took offense away from the Yankees when they badly needed it. They traded away Narvaez, who is now an all-star level catcher with the Red Sox. And Jose Trevino is batting 300 with the Reds right now. So look, like, I supported all of those moves, but when you look at Austin Wells and how he's not delivering on the faith that the organization has put in him, it's a bad look.
And just so we have it on record, Carlos Narvaez's last 14 days hitting 188 with a 563 OPS. Sorry, man. Hopefully that continues for a little bit, though, so that we at least can stop thinking about this. But it's a genuine issue behind the plate for the Yankees, and they've staked their flag on Wells. He's the one they chose while getting rid of so many other options. So we're going to zero in on it. We're going to zero in on Escara's development as a backup, too.
Yeah.
Or Ben Rice. If we've just decided that that's how we're going to use him, then alrighty then. Luis Severino, I have no interest in making him a Yankee again. I floated briefly, not sarcastically. I was being earnest. I honestly wanted to think about it. When he started agitating this weekend, if you would rather take him than Marcus Stroman, then I saw them head to head and I went, actually, I'm good. On the road, his ERA is now up to 3.23 on the year after the Yankees shellacked him. They got him twice. They got Nestor to an unbelievable degree, and they got Wandy Peralta this year. So the former Yankees thing, maybe they're actually making advancements in the science of taking down the former Yankees. Shout out to them. But Severino had an ERA in the low 2s before he got his ass kicked on the road yesterday. Only on the road, 6.79 at home in 10 starts, 71 hits, and 7 bombs allowed in 57 innings. But he was the one who said, Sacramento's, I don't pitch well at home because it's not a major league ballpark. The A's reportedly can't wait to trade him or something of that way after he brought it up. And then he said it again after the game when they were like, hey, you want to double down on those comments he made about not playing in a major league stadium? And he was like, yep, I will. I still hate it. It's not a big field. And anybody else who won't say it out loud is a coward. So war of words. Severino got the A's, who were chronically underfunded. And honestly, Major League Baseball was definitely agitating them to pay people this offseason. They paid him 3 years, $67 million. He had to have known what he was getting into when he signed it. If he didn't, he's a dumbass. But the ballpark is even less equipped for Major League Baseball than we thought, potentially. He's not the first one to complain about the mound. Joe Ryan and the Twins did it when Pablo Lopez got hurt. It's a wonder more people don't get hurt there, it would seem. And we're going for 3 years of this. So Severino causing trouble again right before facing the Yankees. The Yankees troubled him as well. He will be traded. Will be. I think not a question of will he or won't he. I think he's going to be. I don't know how much money the A's are going to have to eat, and I am pretty confident I don't want any part of it. And I thought so before yesterday, and now I know so. But I think the Mets are going to go ahead and get him again.
You don't have to ask me my opinion on this. I whatever he's doing, it's crazy. He signed up for this. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was taking the money from a franchise who needed to justify paying players because they had a snaky exit from their previous home because they wanted to make money going to Las Vegas. So if Luis Severino wants to complain about this at this stage in his relationship with his new team, it just it validates all of the anger and frustration Yankees, a subsect of the Yankees fan base has had towards him since 2020 or even 2019, when the injury started and he wasn't properly communicating it to the team. I have no interest in him. It's actually crazy how it's crazy how he could be such a soft-spoken individual, but every time he opens his mouth, it's literally the wrong thing is said, or he doesn't understand like the context of what he's saying. I literally don't know what it is. Like, he thought he was like joking around saying the Yankees only had 2 good hitters, and then he like doubled down on it. And it's like, no, people don't think you're joking if you're saying stuff like that. So like, do you want to clarify that? We got mad at the Yankees replacing him on the 60-day IL that year, 2022 was it, when he was going to be injured for 45 days and refused to look at a calendar. So, yeah, I have no interest in this. I don't think the A's should have to eat money here. Severino is obviously a solid pitcher, and the going rate for solid pitchers is anywhere between like $15 and $25 million. So, like, you're totally right. I could see the Mets taking on this money and not thinking twice about it because they have a desperate need for pitching. The Yankees do not have this payroll flexibility at the trade deadline. They are not inheriting a $23 million salary, so it ain't happening.
No, and I'd eat my skin off if they inherited that salary for Severino and didn't get a third baseman. So they're going to look to flip Stroman. The comments are 100% right, but this is not how they're going to do that. They're going to try to do that and then also import some salary in exchange. And hey, if you want a third baseman, I'm not opposed. Ryan McMahon would not be my choice, but I would understand if that was someone they were looking to pursue. If you have some money to move around, I would recommend not absorbing the contract of someone who is locked down through 2029, who has a 68 OPS plus this year, and that's after a hot streak. He's hitting like, I got to get the splits up, but he's hitting like 400 the last couple of, 450 the last 7 days, 361 the last 14, 307 with a 728 OPS, still a bad OPS, but there you go. The last 28. And that's Ke'Bryan Hayes, who you've heard him connected to the Yankees. You heard rumors he was disgruntled this offseason. Michael Kay advocated for the Yankees taking a chance on Charlie Hayes' son. Sure. That's some 96 connective tissue. He's literally one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball. He's literally one of the worst offensive third basemen in baseball. Second worst, right, in terms of offensive output. If the Yankees did this, if the Yankees gave up any genuine asset to acquire Ke'Bryan Hayes, you'd be losing your mind. If they got him for a song and they just agreed to absorb that salary, which isn't as onerous as it seems at first blush, because it is $70 million over 8 years. So he's making like $8.5 million.
Yeah, it's like between $7 and $9 million.
It's just like, it's one of those Christian Campbell contracts. They ate out a bunch of his arbitration years. So he's going to be under control at a rate that doesn't fluctuate. So that's somewhat appealing. You know that if there's a world where he actually plays well and gets hot and lives up to his potential with the bat, you don't have to pay him $18 million in arbitration. He's locked in. There's some appealing things there, but quite literally the offensive production is the OPS plus is 17 points below DJ LeMahieu. The defensive upgrade, if you move Jazz to second, you move him to third. I mean, certainly,
massive.
Yeah, it's massive, but he doesn't play. He's lost his offensive output because of a nagging back injury that he's just dealing with. So it's unlikely he stops hitting the ball on the ground. It's unlikely the offensive production reaches where it should be with any consistency. And it's unlikely he even makes it through the full season. So no, not for me. No, I don't think this is a thing that I'm interested in.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Am I interested? I just don't know what the alternative is, though, right? So if you look at someone like Ke'Bryan Hayes, I don't think he is necessarily what you call an asset or someone to chase at the trade deadline. But again, you have to look at this through the lens of the situation the Yankees have put themselves in. They went into the season without a third baseman. They did it again for the second straight year. It came back to kill them, and now they're in a position where they badly need a third baseman. So what does Ke'Bryan Hayes do for you? He allows you to upgrade defensively at two positions, and I think that that's incredibly valuable, especially after all anybody's talked about over the last 7 months, 8 months, is the Yankees sucking on defense and it being their undoing in the World Series. So that's one. Two is, are we sure Ke'Bryan Hayes is this bad offensively? That's all I'm going to ask. Going to ask that because the Pirates are the worst team offensively in the league, and it is hard to shoulder the burden of having to produce at an above average clip when everybody around you is putrid. So I think the same argument could be had for O'Neal Cruz, who's stuck in that lineup and is not delivering to, I guess, the expectations that many had believed he was capable of. So I think these two guys, O'Neal Cruz is not coming to the Yankees, by the way, but someone like Ke'Bryan Hayes could be a worthwhile change of scenery candidate because he's still relatively young. I don't like the back injury stuff. Obviously, that's a problem. I'm not throwing my hat in the ring for the Yankees to make this acquisition, but if you look at what's out there and you look at what the Yankees need to do, they can't have a revolving door at second and third base. It just can't be, especially later in the year. And if you get stability with those two defensive positions, so now you essentially have Gold Glovers all over the infield, Gold Glove caliber defense all over the infield if Ke'Bryan Hayes comes in. And if you put Ke'Bryan Hayes at the bottom of the lineup, man, I don't know. It's up for debate. You don't know what could he suck? Yeah, he could still be an 85 OPS plus player. It's totally possible. But odds are, if he's surrounded by better hitters and the pressure's taken off of him, because there's a little bit of pressure on him in Pittsburgh. He is, number one, son of a former MLB player. Two, is paid on a Pirates team that typically does not pay anybody. So there's a little bit of weight there. Yeah. And three, it was, he was a highly touted young player, and he didn't really pan out on multiple levels, and that weighs on you. So if you can get out of the situation that you're in where the pressure is mounting because of all these external factors, and be put on a contender where, guys around you are going to be supporting you, or at least you're not going to have to shoulder the burden, it could help. I don't know. Again, I can't rule out any trade. Ke'Bryan Hayes makes the Yankees better. I think that's the bottom line. It's just now you're weighing, what are you giving up for him? How much money are you paying for him? What does this mean for the future? What is the back injury? There's a lot here where it's very easy to say I'm out, and I don't blame you for saying you're out. I don't blame anybody for saying they're out, but it's like this team gets better if he can just get to the finish line this year.
Yeah, I think I'm just hesitant about him getting to the finish line.
Yeah,
and if you hear if you believe what you hear in Pittsburgh, that he hits the ball hard. He's in the 67th percentile of hard hit, squared up in the 89th. He does make contact, but he doesn't slug, and he doesn't know how to lift. He's in the 7th percentile for launch angle. It's ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. And so the question is, can it be taught? Can he be taught to slug? Or is it a back injury that prevents his swing from doing what it needs to get the ball off the ground? So you are right that he makes the Yankees better. And I think as we get closer to the trade deadline, I have to convince myself, okay, they need a third baseman who is viable and capable. And if it's the upgrade's not going to be monumental because Eugenio Suarez probably isn't out there. And I doubt that Brian Cashman can match up on value for a 34-year-old rental. He probably should, but the competition is going to be so heavy there. The upgrades are going to be so incremental that I'll probably buy into, okay, slim upgrade. And if you can unlock the offense and you get something even better. I will disagree with Gregory in the comments that Peraza can provide the same defense as Hayes or better than Hayes. No. Hayes is the best defensive third baseman in baseball just about. And Peraza, in his limited duty this year, has a fielding run value in the 53rd percentile. He's
also not a third baseman.
He's been average.
What we're trying to avoid.
He's losing everything that previously made him valuable.
Yeah.
So Oswald Peraza at third base, absolutely not. Ke'Bryan Hayes' offensive upside, even if I'm not even sure it's there, is higher than that of Oswald Peraza. I maintain what I said earlier. I prefer a world where he is not someone that the New York Yankees use assets and time to go ahead and grab. I'm worried that the physical toll that his back is taking on him is preventing him from becoming the player that he should be. And I don't see that changing if he becomes a New York Yankee. That said, as the reality sets in, and as Adam Weinrib, on July 27th, realize the caliber of third baseman that's actually on the market, then yeah, I'll probably change my tune and I'll say, well, he's like the third preferred option for me, and they're all pretty similar, as far as number one, and a whole bunch of dudes who I don't really want at number 2, 3, 4, 5. In that case, I'll acquiesce if we do it. But if I get a notification that the Cubs did it, I'll be like, great, I don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah, agreed. Fully agree.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Peraza, I mean, we can't say Peraza. He's not a third baseman. The whole goal here is to get players who actually play the positions on the field. And
Peraza's not a major leaguer. Peraza's not a major leaguer.
Peraza's batting 167, has no power. Clear. I don't know what his deal is. It doesn't seem like he is making any effort to get better. Every time he takes the field, it's just the same old stuff. And again, the Yankees ruined him, so that's partially their fault. But at the end of the day, if you're getting playing time, you as the player need to figure it out. I don't know what it is, but we can't be seeing him. We can't be seeing him at any point. I mean, we shouldn't have been seeing him any point after June. July 30th, better not see him again.
Nope. And here comes a remarkably interesting series in Toronto. If you want a litmus test for the Yankees, if you want to see if they actually play up to their competition instead of playing down to it, you want to see if they can make a team. And hey, the Blue Jays are right in it. They're 3 back of the Yankees right now in third place in the East. But if you go by metrics, they should be right there with the Red Sox. They should not be 45-38. They should be 41-42 per expected record. And the Yankees are waltzing into Toronto with Carlos Rodon against Max Scherzer tonight, who's not built up. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, Canada Day, I guess, Max Fried and Kevin Gausman, who we battered around earlier this year and whose ERA is at 4.21. Barrios against Will Warren on Wednesday night, advantage Blue Jays. And Thursday, Chris Bassett, who also looked awful at Fenway over the weekend against Clarke Schmidt, who previously to breaking in the 6th inning, had a near 30-inning scoreless streak, busted, and has been phenomenal. So those are the 4 guys you want if you're the Yankees. You avoid that Stroman spot. Although Friday night, Citi Field, make alternative plans. I don't think you need to watch that one. Yankee fans, you can tune back in over the weekend. July 4th, Marcus Stroman starting the Subway Series. Sure. Anyhow, this is an interesting series. The Yankees are set up nicely in 3 of these 4 games at least, and Will Warren has been one of the best rookie starting pitchers in baseball 2 months running, except when he's pitching at Dodger Stadium. You want a real litmus test? This is an AL East series. You don't win those. This is a team that's been overperforming its peripherals in Toronto. You want to show them they've been lucky, make them unlucky this week, and you want to get back to a mode where you can feel comfortable and confident again in your ability to compete with the big boys. This isn't really one of the big boys. This is kind of a paper tiger, but they've clutched up. Alejandro Kirk has returned to his normal level of play. Vlad Jr. has returned to his normal level of play. Addison Barger looks like a breakout, and he's had some big moments in the spotlight for Toronto. Andres Jimenez has as well. If you want to put them in their place, this is an opportunity. And they've been on a heater, and they played another nice series, sandwiching their worst game in weeks at Fenway with 2 big wins in Boston, something we can't do. So
yeah,
it could be a fun AL East showdown. Could be, though, another chance to look in the mirror and get mad at yourself because the Yankees have been giving those to us a lot lately.
Get mad at myself. I love it.
Why do I root for this team?
Freaking out. I think we usually fare well in Toronto. That could just be me not being present.
We do. We typically do.
Feel like we typically do. Feel like Toronto also has Boston's number.
Danny Jansen's out of town now, so that's nice.
Yeah, Danny Jansen's gone. I again, the Blue Jays team has a lot of talent. I'll believe it when I see it. 45-38, solid record, guys. Good job. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're doing right now. It matters where you are at the end of the year. Blue Jays lost the division to us at home in 2022 after Vladdy claimed that this was his home.
Robbie Ray
was going to win there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have not been watching any of the Blue Jays this year. I'll be the first person to admit that. Am I concerned with this matchup? No, we have two of our best pitchers going in this series. Really four very good pitchers. We have Rodon tonight, who has been incredible. Max Scherzer is terrible and has been dealing with a thumb issue that he can't stay on the field for. Kevin Gossman's a giant crybaby. Max Fried will put him right in the janitor's closet. Will Warren has the most called strikeouts in Major League Baseball. I don't know if you guys knew that. Fun fact. Pretty awesome stat. I think he's been really good this year. He's got to level up, though. Everybody's got to level up against division opponents, so I think this is his chance to do that. And Clarke Schmidt just had an incredible scoreless streak. I don't think that he's necessarily an ace-like presence, but he's shown an ability to hone his pitch mix and attack hitters, and it's been incredibly successful for a month and a half now. So I like the momentum we're riding. I don't think that the Blue Jays taking series against the Guardians and the Red Sox really matter. They just lost a series to the White Sox and got swept by the Phillies in the same month. So they're a little bit up and down, in my opinion. Comes down to the Yankees, man. Which version of the Yankees are going to show up? Are they going to bully the starting pitchers when they finally get them on the ropes, or are they going to let Gossman off the hook in the first 2 innings and let him go 6? Like that's really what it is. I think the Yankees also perform better on the road, so this is helpful for them. Wouldn't be disappointed with a split. I think the Yankees have the ability to take 3 of 4. I think we're looking at a split, though.
I think we're looking at a split too, and I think you should be happy with that. But they are set up nicely for a couple of these games. Just need to honestly need to tread water in these divisional matchups. Need to show you can hold your own. Will Warren, I'm not gonna lie, got me a little bit excited about the potential of a playoff series. And I feel like I need to put this in the universe to counteract some of the Astros mojo. I watched like MLB Network last night, and Vescursion was doing like, is Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez actually the best playoff 1-2 of any team? And it was like, maybe. Shit. What? Rodon, Fried, Luis Heel, Clarke Schmidt, Will Warren as a multi-inning guy in the bullpen. You can't tell me that's not pretty good.
It's pretty good. Pretty good in my opinion.
Pretty good. The Yankees got to the World Series last year with Cole, an inconsistent Rodon, and nothing. And guys who could give you 2 innings.
Yep.
So some combination of what we've got going on this year, I would be pretty excited about if they are able to make it into the postseason and to the finish line and get the offense in gear. A lot of asks. Maybe keep Brian Hayes as a part of that. Maybe he's not. Either way, we will see you next Monday to wrap up the Jays and the Subway Series, but probably more so the rumors that have emerged and the viral moments that we see between now and then, because it's a holiday this week, folks. July 3rd, celebrate it. July 4th, celebrate it. Wear your red, white, and blue if you want to. Don't if you don't, but still take the time off and make your company pay you not to participate in society. That's the best part of the holiday. So there you go. Do that, whether you want to celebrate America or not. You have a golden opportunity ahead of you. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carannante. Where can the people find you?
At Tommy's_takes, both of us. At Yanks Go Yard FS. We're always around. Hit us up. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's that time of the year. Trade rumors, stuff's going to go down. We're going to pop on live. It's not going to be the standard schedule. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. Plenty of content for you covering the Yankees inside and out, getting you all the information you need. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for reading. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday.
Hey, enjoy it, and we'll see you at the end of it. Take care and go Yankees.